Hello, my name is Ashley Cowton, and this is my presentation over Person First Language and Identity First Language. Person First Language. So the goal is to make the person as a whole the focus, not their disability, by placing emphasis on the person instead of their disability. This helps to eliminate outdated language that labels individuals and limits their acceptance in society. Person-first language acknowledges their identity as a human before their disability. Person-first language is preferred when speaking with or about persons with diseases, mental illnesses, and disabilities. An example of person-first language would be a person with a disability. Identity-first language is used because some people believe that their identity-defining feature cannot be separated from their individual self. Identity-first language uses the person's condition as an adjective, which shows that the condition is an essential part of who they are. Deaf, blind, and autistic communities prefer identity-first language. Here are some things that you need to understand to be correct when speaking with persons with disabilities. First, you want to avoid negative words that imply deficits, such as unfortunate or special. Do not describe people that don't have disabilities as normal, and focus on what will create the most respect in your situation and with your audience. Some examples of person-first language would be person who is blind, person with a disability, person with a mental health condition, or person who has a learning disability. And some examples of identity-first language include handicapped, learning disabled, a deaf person, or autistic. Language used in my building. I'm fortunate to work in a very positive atmosphere. When speaking about children with an autistic diagnosis, we tend to use identity-first language in our building, which would be correct. So we say the autistic child. And when speaking about children with physical disabilities, my building, we tend to use person-first language, which would also be correct. So we would say a child with a disability. Principles in inclusive schools. So it is important to remember as a future building leader that the way I do things is being watched by the teachers and the students in my building, and it will influence how they do things. So it's important for principals to be knowledgeable about all disabilities, because when you're knowledgeable about things, it will help you create an inclusive culture. Then you can also teach your teachers the correct way to do things to create that inclusive environment in their classroom, and then that will trickle down to the students as well. So personal experiences. Growing up, my autistic cousin has been a big part of my life in shaping my beliefs and values. He is on the severe end of this spectrum, and he's just an amazing person. Because of having him in my life, I've learned that I always check with a person or their family for their preference on how they wish to be identified. For the most part, I feel that I'm able to look past their disability and I see the child or their person. So I use their name like I would with any other student. When I do address their disability, I use the phrases that they or their families prefer. And that is the end of my presentation.